Hi, I'm Evan McElwain, and today I'm going to be teaching you all how to juggle. And so before we get started, I want to give a little background information and some history to show that juggling, kind of why it's important, I guess. Um, there's a book written in 1985 called Juggling, the Art and Its Artists. It was written by Karl-Heinz Ziemann, and he said that actually the first depiction we have of juggling is a cave drawing from the Binzi Hassan tombs in the ancient Egyptian civilization. Now, these cave drawings have actually been dated back to 2,000 years before Christ was even born. So that makes them about 4,000 years old today. And this makes juggling actually one of the oldest forms of entertainment that we still have in use today. And after those cave drawings, there's actually a gap in history to where there's about 1,500 years between those cave drawings and the next for sure description of juggling. And they think this is because there were some hieroglyphics and cave drawings that were probably too obscure for us to understand. And they think that so that means that there were probably some cave drawings that had juggling in them, but we just didn't understand that's what they were actually meaning. So then the next real proof we have of it is from the Greeks in about 400 to 500 BC. And it was used from then all the way until the fall of the Roman Empire. And that's where you got the jesters and the court jesters would entertain the king, and a lot of times they would use juggling to actually entertain the king and his family. And then after the Roman Empire fell and the Middle Ages started, there was no juggling. They can't find really any evidence that it happened. It's kind of the dark period, and it didn't pick back up until about 1850. And that's kind of when circuses started coming around. And so they don't as much anymore in circuses, but they used to always have a juggler that would come out and juggle, usually not just tennis balls, but he would juggle something like flaming torches or something kind of daggers or something dangerous, that danger type feel to it. And so that brought a lot more entertainment for juggling and brought it back alive. And now you can find on YouTube there's people juggling all kinds of dangerous things like they did then, and then there's also people juggling to music. And I think actually a few years ago on America's Got Talent there was a juggler, so you can learn how to do a pretty fun little trick that a lot of people don't know how to do. So first things first, we're going to talk about what you need to actually juggle. And first you're going to need 3 objects, which my 3 objects I have are tennis balls. And I like tennis balls because they don't weigh too much, they're not too big, so you can easily throw them. And they usually don't tear too much up, so if you hit something with a tennis ball, it usually doesn't break. Now, some things that are very breakable, it will break, but you just got to be careful. And the second thing you're going to need is a large open space. That's so when you start juggling and you're probably going to drop some, they don't hit anything, hopefully. And you have enough room above your head to actually throw it, because you need a couple of feet above your head open so you can, because usually when you start you throw it a little higher than you do normally. So you need a little bit extra room. And then also, while you're chasing around your balls you probably dropped, you don't want to run into anything, so you want to have a nice open area. And then the last thing you need is you're going to need some patience. It's frustrating at first. It can get pretty hard to get the hang of it right away. So it takes some time, so you want to sit down, take the time to actually learn if you want to really learn how to juggle. But once you finally learn, it's a lot of fun. So, first thing we're going to do, we're going to start with 1 ball. You set the other 2 down, and you're going to want to stand about your feet shoulder width apart, your arms at about a 90-degree-ish angle, and you're going to want to just toss the ball from one hand to the other. So this is kind of how you get the feel and the rhythm of how to juggle. You just kind of toss it from one hand to the other. You can switch it back and forth, right to left and left to right. And one other big thing we'll talk about here is that in most sports, or anytime you want to catch an object, you want to look it down into your hand. But in juggling, what you do is you keep your eyes where the peak of the ball is, the peak of the arc the ball takes. So it's kind of when you want to peak it at about your eye level, but there's a lot of times when you start out, you're going to start throwing them high. So But to get the best results, you want to keep the balls flying at about your eye level, so you can just keep looking straight ahead. And you never want to follow the balls in your hand, because then you get sidetracked and confused, and that messes everything up. So keep your eyes up and look straight ahead. So now that you've gotten the one ball tossed down, we can add a second one. And what you do in this one is you're going to toss the first one just like you did, but as it comes down, before it reaches your second hand, you're going to throw the second one right underneath it. And so it'll come up into this other hand. And so it'll look something like this. Now this is a hard contract for people to get, and this is probably the most difficult part. Once you start getting this, you can definitely get the 3 and you can keep going. But this part takes some time, so you want to really practice going right hand first, and then switch up and throw your left hand one first. You're going to do this a whole lot until you get really comfortable throwing 2 and then catching 2. And so finally, when you get that very comfortable, you're going to add your third ball. Okay, so you have 2 balls in your dominant hand and 1 ball in your other hand. Keep your arms still at your 90-degree angle. And you throw the first ball of your dominant hand, and then the second one, but you'll notice you still have a ball in your other hand. So you're going to have to throw that third one underneath the second one, just like you did before for the first and second. So you just keep throwing balls under. And so it looks like that. So you're going to try to get 3, you're going to try to throw 1, then underneath, and underneath. And so once you can throw 3 consistently and catch 3, you're just going to keep adding. You're just going to keep throwing this next ball you have in your hand underneath the last one, the one that's coming down. So you can eventually get it to where it's a nice rhythm going, and you can get a decent streak. And that's kind of how you juggle. And it's a lot of fun. And then now, once you get those, there's a bunch of other tricks you can throw in while you're juggling. They're a lot of fun to do and to show off to people. So one thing you can do is you can throw it up, and you're going to throw one of the balls up higher and let it bounce off the ground, and you can catch it as it's coming back up and just use it as it was a throw. So that kind of looks like this. There's another fun thing you can do. Another thing you can do is you can bounce it off your head, which I'm usually not very good at this one, but we can try it. So as you're juggling, throw one of them higher again, and then catch it into one like that, and that would actually work. So as you can see, you can do a lot of different fun tricks you can find online, all kinds of places. It's a lot of fun to do, and one other good thing is you can teach it to either your small brothers, cousins, or you can even teach it to your children if you have them. It's a fun little thing to do with your loved ones. It's a fun activity, and you can have fun teaching them how to do it. And actually, there's some interesting facts about it. There was a website called Conquest.com. There's a survey that said only about 20% of the American population know how to juggle. And so, by learning how to juggle, you can actually learn a skill that about 80% of people don't know how to use. And so you can kind of go show off, or you can, so there's a lot of people that don't know how and would like to learn, so you can teach whoever you want. And that's always fun. And also, there was a study done in 2008 by the University of Hamburg. And this study showed that even in aging adults, as it got later in life, those that had learned how to juggle and kept juggling throughout their life actually had more gray matter in the brain. Now what that means is the gray matter is a part of your brain that's actually functioning and actively doing things. So they had a more active brain even than just non-jugglers did. So that's a very good thing to have. And then also it showed, the same university did a study on younger adolescents and showed that those that learned how to juggle were actually able to further their brain development. And of course it teaches very good hand-eye coordination and stimulates the brain activity, so it's a good activity to use for little ones as well. And so that's kind of how you juggle. Now you can go teach it on to other people, and thank you for your time.